And it's Wednesday and it's Footy Prime. And as promised, we have a guest today, a returning guest, a regular for you broadcast fans, of course, a well-known name now in Welsh football. She's made the jump to Europe and she's quite the thang after the Euros. It's our favorite, Rhian Wilkinson. Hey, Rian. Listen, last time we spoke, you were prepping for Wales' first major tournament, the Euros. And here we are, job done. And it seems like the respect you and your team won this summer continues to grow. So we've got a lot to get to today. Let's look back on the tourney very quickly here, okay? Netherlands, France, and England. We laughed about this.
Small teams, small, lowercase teams.
Of all the groups you could have been drawn in, that may have been the worst. It couldn't have been really much tougher. But in retrospect, was that more useful for you as a coach, building something bigger, just kind of seeing where you're at against those top nations?
It's hard to tell. I mean, I was, as any coach, you say, oh, there's no easy group, but we definitely had a very challenging 3 teams. And I think for us to like dip our toe in the ocean, these women are in many ways still semi-professional. They have their summers off. This was only the second time that they've had anything in their summer. They went on a US tour 2 years ago. That was the first time. And they've never played 3 games back to back like that. So it was, for me as a coach, a massive learning, but also for the team, it was huge. And I think you can't prepare for anything like that. You do the best you can, and then there's just the experience of it. And then there's what you take away and how you move forward from it. I think our fans got that, which I appreciated.
So do you think that it came at exactly the right time for you being at the helm to bring them to the historic first ever major tournament? That's a feather in your cap, but also for the Welsh FA. Do you think even though your team, you would have liked the players maybe to be in a better setup where they had the fitness, they had the experience, but there was no better time really to have them tested and to live it, right?
No, and that's what the bigger teams forget, because they qualify over. They forget the smaller nations need to qualify to see it and to feel it and to suffer from it. This team was always going to qualify. I'm not saying this to try and be overly humble. This team was ready, and Gemma Granger was there before me, and it was just a matter of time before this team qualified. They were just right there, and I'm really proud that the group of senior players who've given so much, they got to experience it. The next generation now knows the gap. I mean, we all saw it. There's a gap. And I don't think we can hide from that or pretend it's not there. It just is. And it's now how Wales, but equally the smaller nations that are just sort of just right on the edge of trying to get into those higher echelons of the game have to try and fill. And it's how we do it for our country and what's best for Wales.
You mentioned the fact that they're semi-pros, which clearly has to affect fitness to a certain degree as well. And as a coach, you mentioned they got the summer off, but are you giving these players programs? Are you talking to the clubs? How do you raise those fitness levels for players that aren't necessarily full professionals?
Yeah. So first, that is quite a disrespectful thing. They are professional. They're professional in their leagues. We've got a few in the WSL. We've got a few in Championship. We've got 2 in the NWSL. We've got 1 in the USL. We've got 1 in the NSL. So we've got teams in different leagues, but they haven't ever been asked to do a full 12 month schedule. And I think that's the next step for them to be. You look at now, we've got $1 million player in, Olivia Smith, in her move. The game on the women's side is serious business. There's big money. And when that happens, the expectations are different. And so Amy and I played at a time when we had our summers off as well. And we loved our summers. That was just how it was. And then the game has changed to the point now where you can't have time off. Even when you're on vacation, you're exercising. Yes, it comes down. Your numbers have to come down to give yourself a break, but there is no time off anymore. And that is the next step for my women, is that recognition. And how do we find that balance? So the question was, yes, they do have training programs. We have given them all watches to help monitor and support their club training, because they're owned by their clubs, and we have to sort of support and follow the club lead. We borrow them essentially. So it's a frustrating role. But the clubs have the same same sort of issues is how do we continue to push standards when we're almost over analyzing things, I think, a little bit now, which is where it probably needed to go from our time, all of us playing. We needed maybe a little bit more oversight, but it has gotten to a point where maybe there's a little bit too much. We need to make sure that we're giving them a really strong foundation base so that they become like hardy and durable athletes.
Dubs shared some pictures of training back in the day and on bars with
we had to get
beers.
creative, Wonger. We had no choice.
So I guess that's the type of training you have to instill, right, Rhi?
Well, this is how I know that they're not fully, I've been there and I have done it. It's the thing is we're used to it. It's nice to have your summers off and to see your family because you're away from your family a lot. And we fought hard to try and keep it was almost this idea of like, well, we deserve the time. This is a full-time job now. There's no, you'll get a couple weeks off a year, but that is what it is now. And the top nations, that's how they perform. And that's the gap. And we're not going to jump right straight there, but this is the journey. It begins now. We've seen it and we've definitely felt it.
Well, on that note, Jess Fishlock, she had a quote, I think with the BBC. She says she came in, referring to you, Rhi. She came in and she said, this is what I'm doing. I don't care if I upset you off. I don't care if I cause trouble. This is what I'm doing because I believe she had the long vision, the long vision. And I don't think we get here without that vision.
That's nice.
Has the vision changed? Is it still the same as it was before Euro?
Well, no, it has to change. It needs to evolve and adapt. And I think it's quite relatable to all of us as Canadians. Wales is a very small nation next to a very loud, noisy, populated neighbor. And they rely very heavily on England for their development. That's the league that's right there. And, Casey Stoney said, a lot of coaches talk about it. We need our players playing. And that's a big thing for Wales is that these women go to England to be developed, but they don't always get the credit they deserve because it is always more exciting. You sell more tickets. I don't know what to buy an American or a Brazilian or a Spanish player, and then they will play. So the Welsh player has to be better than most everyone on the team to get that time on the pitch, which I think is normal. It's what's right in front of you, right? And it's not a league to develop Welsh players. It's a league to develop English players. It's their league, and that is the next step is giving them the courage and the confidence to push on and to maybe leave England to come back to gain that experience. And that is, I think, where maybe I can be a little bit more black and white than maybe other coaches they've had who are from the UK and they're part of that singular bubble. And mine, I just have different experiences.
Do you think that's why you fit so well there? I mean, obviously there's the ties and how personal it is to you and your family and your heritage and you going back to Wales to lead them. But what you just described about Welsh players trying to make their mark in the league that's next door, much bigger, much flashier, but that's there to develop English players, as you said. There are parallels to be drawn there with Canada and our neighbors to the south and how NSL is here now as that peak to the pyramid. But the first pathway, the pathway that's still prioritized by our young women in this country is the NCAA. So do you see that changing? And what about the state of football in Wales? This is a really easy question, Rian, real softball for you right here. But when you were eliminated in the Euros, you made a plea for things to change in Wales about the state of women's football. So do you see it changing within the next cycle? Are there meaningful steps being taken?
Well, there's 8 different questions in there.
You choose, my friend.
Well, so firstly, Wales has the Adran League. So we have a semi-professional league, which I love. I think it's not ready to produce players for Wales yet, but I also love, and this is what used to make me so upset for Canadians, is that there was nowhere for our women to go. Mm-hmm. And is the Adran League exactly where we want it to be? No, but it is in place and it's running and it's semi-pro. And that is also a feeder for other to go into more professional environments if that's what they want to continue to do. So we do have a league. The plea is still there and I see it as sort of my North Star. especially like, so the Euros are behind us now. A 4-year cycle starts. We've got 2 years for the World Cup qualifying, which is just around the corner, and, you know, really excited and looking forward to that. But I do think this is a 4-year now. What can we do in it to the next Euros, where the very basic piece is registration. So it's not there's no people that I've met that are more connected to family than the Welsh. It is, I don't know if it's from the mining communities or the farming communities, but I mean, Ames, you know, my family, I can see where my mom comes from, and it's this real deep root connection. And so the young girls not being given the opportunity to play football is not because they're not trying to give girls the opportunity to play football. It's just because it hasn't been there. Yeah. And so maybe it's now the visibility of the senior team, and going to the Euros, I think, will make really important change, because it's just going to put it front of mind. So my mother didn't have access to football. She wouldn't have known to fight for that for me had I not been born in Canada, where everyone in my community played. She just didn't know. Yeah. It wasn't because she didn't want to give me opportunity. And that's sort of the same. Now these women who didn't have football in schools now can be like, well, why doesn't my daughter have it? So they know the right questions. And so I'm really excited for this next 4 years, because I can see the registration just starting to take off. And I think that for me will be the driver for this next 4 years. Is we need to be qualifying. We need to be keeping this team playing good football, exciting football, keeping the team accessible and connected to our country and to the grassroots. And secondly, we need to be connected to the registration, because I think they're directly linked. We're small enough, so is Canada, where it's not two separate entities. Our grassroots and our high performance are directly linked. And in fact, one can only survive with the other. And that is a benefit for being small.
I wanted to ask, this is a 13-part question. The first being, how do you like my afro?
That's too less than my previous
How do you like
question?
my afro? Nobody even talked about it.
I've seen you while. It's great.
Highs and lows for the last year and a bit. Tell me about the high. What was your, hey, if I have to choose a high over the last year, and then your low?
Well, qualifying was very special, that moment, and that almost relief, and not just on the players, but all of the veterans who'd been around the team and the media and the whole, it was just this hurdle they just had to get across. And that was special to be with them for. And I think the low, it sounds really weird, so hear me out, but England was hard. That was a tough game for the players that, you know, got to play. For those that didn't play, I had 2 players that didn't see the pitch in the Euros, and that really hurts me. 3 with the goalkeepers. But the first half, we just, the wheels, you know, just the team just had nothing left. And I thought we regrouped well at half. The game was gone. Like, how do we want to finish? And then we get a goal. And then that last goal they scored, it felt like such a low, because I thought that the team they just want to give the best they can for their country. And it felt like that dagger blow at the end was one where it took so much of the experience. Like, it hurt us right. And we knew we were going home. So we were already understood that this game was just going to be one where we just had to show up and give everything we had and leave an impact. And that felt like the wrong note to leave the tournament on. So that felt, so it just, because that it hasn't been that long since it's happened, but what I did do, and I'm really happy I did, and I want to make this clear, is I stayed in Wales. I went to Wales and I spent a week traveling around the country. I went to an under-19s camp. I went to a coach education workshop with all women who didn't know how to get involved and wanted to get involved in the game. I went to a girls' festival where there were 400 young girls on these pitches playing. And I went around Wales, and it was that was what it was about. I reconnected with the bigger reason. So our women were on the world stage, and they put themselves out there. And we know these teams are classes ahead of us, like leagues ahead of us. But we know on any day we can perform, but 3 back-to-back, we're just not there. It's clear. But the bigger picture was, how is this affecting our young people back home, but not just our young people? That coach education, there was like 14 women in one room, and they were all nervous. They didn't know if they knew how to coach. I was like, this isn't what it was about. Like, these are the women that are going to change the game, because they are going to learn with their players, but they want to help support the game. And that was such an important reminder for me at maybe one of the bigger low points.
Well, now we know your therapy. That week off was your therapy, right?
Week off is not exactly what I'd call
sorry. The week home, the week back in Wales.
But it was an important
shows,
one.
It shows the competitiveness, right, of you and your players, that, you know, you enter this tournament and with no real expectations, and, you know, it goes the way it goes, but it still hurts you, even though, you know, no one thought you'd get a win in those games. You didn't, but the fact that you had that burning hunger, right, that's really important. This is it gem for her, gem for you, or gem for her, gem for you? Was that what that? Yeah, was that the what you're referring
for them,
to?
For us, for her. Yeah. For us, for them. For
gem and the holograms.
My Welsh leaves a lot to be desired, but they've done. It's so interesting. Growing up in Quebec, we have the same kind of laws in Wales to try and preserve the language. So I'm better prepared for having Welsh everywhere with the, you know, the sizing and all. Quebec prepared me well for it.
Well, that's a good segue for your.
Well, I was going to ask.
I don't. Dying here.
How do I pronounce CYMRU?
Cymru.
Cymru.
That's the easier one, isn't it? One of the more easy ones.
You're supposed to be the authority on it, and you answered it with a question mark at the end of it.
I'm. My mother doesn't know Welsh. She grew up South Wales. I'm not. I am taking Welsh classes, but he's very kind man, Aaron, who is always very positive about my efforts. But I wouldn't say he's thrilled with how I'm whipping through the curriculum.
I need to know, if I visit Wales, I need a good swear word. So can you teach, and please teach me a swear word?
Honestly, I don't think I have one. No one's taught me that. I'm only on chapter 1. Got 1 to 10 and dog and cat.
Jimmy Carr's got a bit about Welsh accents, and he just says, basically, if you ask everything as if it's a question, no matter what it is, even a statement, but a question, it sounds Welsh. It's very funny. He's obviously far more offensive than just that, but it's very good. Dubs has labeled herself here #1 Rian fan.
Yeah.
Surely there's got to be a bigger fan than Dubs. Your mom, there's got to be a bunch of new fans. So is she #1?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's loads more, because I wanted to ask you, like, I'm sitting here listening to you talk and like almost in tears because I'm so proud of you. Honestly, and everybody is, but like thinking about
my mom doesn't cry.
Well, thinking about your mom, like she was over there with your family, right? And I know that your sister-in-law is Swiss, and so they were there for other reasons as well, but they were there to support you. And that red wall, right? This legendary red wall with the Welsh fans. Like, what was that like? Seeing them at every match, even though you were on the wrong end of those results, and what it means for that groundswell of support for the women's game.
Yeah, you're the best, Dame. Thank you.
No, you are.
Easy question, too.
My mom wasn't there, but my brother and his wife and their 3 children and her sister and their 3 kids were already in Switzerland for vacation, which was, my family's amazing. They're such huge supports for me, but they don't tend to come to games. And that has been as a player as well. We all had the Mathesons. I think the Mathesons traveled for everyone. But it was really nice to have my brother there and his 3 kids, and to do that first fan walk. The Welsh fans get it. They're incredible. I can't say enough about them. And like, of course, you say there's no expectations, but we did believe. And I think that was important for me to build the belief in the team that why not? Why couldn't we do something or pull off the miracle? And I wanted us to believe that strongly, because why else would we go? But that means that the failures hurt that much more, because we were never like, let's hope we don't lose by too much. And we celebrated our goal, and people were like, I can't believe you're celebrating. Get out of here. Like, I celebrated our first yellow card. Like, we're the first tournament. First yellow. We got to take our win. You know, like, there's moments here that are firsts, and we talk about them and we don't hide from them, and they're painful lessons. But for the red wall, we played in Kosovo last year, and we had 30 people come out to Kosovo, where, it was 2 hours from the airport on tarred roads. And that's the reality. These fans, there's a big group of them that have followed this team everywhere they've gone, and they understand the journey. And there's a whole new group that are joining in who understand that first, the women's football fan base is not the men's. That's fine. It's different. It's not the same. So calm down, people that want to compare it. But it is unique, and it's different, and it's athletic, and it's interesting, and the tactics are always intriguing, right or wrong. You see it differently in the women's game, and the fans understand this journey. They understand that this is one of these moments in a country that is going to change things. And so the way that they stuck by the team and never stopped singing, and how they took such pride in those one-offs like we did, they celebrated them with us. And people from outside can critique all they want, but if you're not part of that, you don't get it. And I've appreciated that. Like, I need to be held to account as the coach. The team, we need to do our debrief. We need to make sure that I'm the right person, but equally that this team is performing to the right levels, and that what did we do well? What didn't we do well? We need to dissect that properly. But also, false expectation is not helpful. So we are going to go in believing, and I'm going to talk in my press conferences like, here we go, bring it, England. Like, yeah, I am, because I'm not going to roll over for anyone or just be happy to be there. That's not the point. But it's only the fair weather fan that I think didn't know that this was going to be a challenging experience for the Welsh women.
I think the fans really love the fact that you don't back down to other coaches. It's really great. Bit of edge there, Canadian edge, call it what you want. But, I grew up in a rugby household, and watching the Six Nations as a kid, and watching Land of My Fathers being belted out at Cardiff Arms Park. It's one of the great things in sport, right? The Welsh passion. It's amazing. And we should have got it ready, and it's my mistake. I forgot. I will blame Wonger.
The poem?
But we had, there was the poet.
Yeah. Poet laureate, yeah.
The poet laureate, yeah, who it was on Twitter, and she had that. What do you call it? It's not a poem. It's far more than just that.
I think her name is Sarah. She's amazing.
Iambic pentameter or something like that.
It's so great. And we played that on our social medias, and I tell you, it gives you goosebumps. And we'll find it, and we'll play it on an upcoming Footy Prime. We should have got it ready. It just dawned on me now. Like, anyway, there is something about that country. You're right. And how they just, not just sport, but they're so proud of being Welsh. We're seeing that with the whole Wrexham documentary as well, right? Which the whole world's being exposed to it now, it seems. Yeah,
and they should. I think the Welsh fans actually boosted. The Dutch are known for it as well, but it takes those kind of fans that push. Like the English fans, you could see it in the stadium. Like the Welsh would just belt something, and then the English, it almost forces opposition fans to get out of their comfort zone. And Sarah, the poet, amazing work. So the FAW and the Welsh government brought her in to travel with us. Before our qualifying in against Republic of Ireland, one of my players wrote a poem about the game that I presented. I mean, the arts and sports and it's all intertwined in that country. Like the sort of way you grow up in Canada, being sort of like quietly singing or trying not to be heard. The pride of Wales is like, the louder you sing, the better. And they do. It's such a wonderful thing. The Eisteddfod is the Welsh language arts festival in Wales that's going on now. All young people in their schools compete to be the top singers, the best choir. Like it's very nice. And I hope it's not something that is ever lost, which is the connection between the land, the arts, but also the athletic. You talked about rugby. Like Wales is a sporting nation. It just isn't a singular sporting nation, and not for only men.
Yeah, going back to your Canadian days, who would have been the most likely to put some lines down and recite a poem before a match to inspire the troops?
I don't know about Tank would have written something that was not inspiring, but
she would have sung loudly.
Yeah, so you would have as well. I think you too. I think Aaron or Desi had the best voices, and maybe it's changed now. Without Desi came after. Aaron was so grateful when Desi made the team, because every happy birthday we'd all be like, "Up to you, you do it." But yeah, I don't know. It's something in the Welsh people. They're very proud of it. They're not ashamed of it. I think we're weirdly ashamed of being artistic. even people that can play musical instruments don't. They're just like really quiet about it.
Apologetic, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we had a piano in our home base.
Yeah, let's stop that. I'm agreeing with you. Let's stop fucking doing that shit.
I won't participate because I don't want to hurt anyone. But I think that is more the attitude is like, oh, I'm not good enough. I won't do it. But you don't get better if you're not doing it.
Why don't you travel with your cello?
I broke it.
I want to know, Rian.
Were you angry? Wait, is that a real story?
Yeah,
you broke it?
Do you smash it?
Well, I did break it because I knocked it really hard, so there's a hole in the front. But it was in its case, and I hit it corner of the table. It's not nice.
Just left it hanging.
I'm not sure my mother knows about that. My cello days, I am a cellist. I'm a really bad one, but I do enjoy it. And everyone, it's a great warning system for the household. If you hear the cello, leave me alone. You know? Yeah,
I love it. At your, I think it was the last game, and you were going over to shake the hands of people in that red wall and that in the stands in the stadium, and then I think you were giving security fits because you climbed over like the ad boards. So I said on the broadcast, I think a couple of weeks ago, I said I would have loved for a Rian mic'd up segment there. So like what, because I was saying you were very politely telling everybody to F off. So like what exactly were you saying to these people?
I just did it. I don't know. Do you mean, I didn't even see that. I felt like these people had come so far and given so much to the team and to me. And like I just wanted to thank them. And it was nice. It was a nice moment. And there were a lot of England fans there still too. And it was hilarious. So I was like, yeah, good job. But they were great. I think this is such a time in the women's game where we are, in so many ways, we try and follow what the men have done because they're years ahead of us, years ahead of us, right? So Wales, it's been 20 years that they've had a team. One of the Dutch players had more caps than Wales had played internationals.
Wow.
Yeah, to perspective. So just to be able to go out there and thank the fans who are the cornerstone, who are the foundation, this is why it's working, is the fan bases. So they can be too much. I feel like it can be a little bit intrusive and a little bit, but the majority of the fans are just all in for the experience and to help promote just women in sport. And it happens to be football, but I'm just very, I don't want to lose that. I think the men have, because they've had to. There's just big names coming into the MLS and the league that aren't used to that connection. And I don't want to lose that.
I will also, just to finish up what I was going to say from my 13-part question, was you're a very hard worker. And we saw that before Amy joined us. There was a vacuum cleaner in the picture. So obviously Rian is, here it is. She is not above any menial task to get
I don't vacuum.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah. No.
Well, listen, Rhi, thank you so much for allowing us to borrow you from the broadcast. I know Dubs likes to keep you to herself. So we were surprised when she said, no, we should bring Rian on the main Footy Prime show, and like, wow, okay, that's great. So thanks so much, and congrats on this past summer, and looking forward to October, I think, of the next round of games. And we look forward to that. So thanks so much.
Thanks so much for your support, guys. See you soon.
Thanks, Rhi. See you soon.
Bye.
That is Rhian Wilkinson. Her legend grows. It's so great to see a Canadian.
So cool.
Making a name beyond the Canadian borders from a coaching perspective. We see our players are doing it now. It's just happened for a while.
We have to ask
coach.
Sorry, Sharms. We have to ask Dubs how she's feeling, because she was almost crying.
Very emotional. Yeah.
How does it feel? Like, you get I want to give you, other than the throw to Sharms for the last word, tell me how it feels, because it's incredible. I see it in you.
Well, I think it's like one of my closest friends and doing that. So it's the love and the pride that's kind of wrapped up in it. But it's also like from a teammate's perspective. Like, this is somebody that was with me in the trenches back when, before, like, Rian was part of the generation that won the medals and trailblazed in a different way than kind of my generation did. And then got into coaching. Like she and Carm, but then Tank's still there, and like Mel Booth, Candace Chapman, like a lot of those players that remained in the game, and Rian being involved in Project 8 and winning NWSL and having a hard road back, and then ending up coaching Wales and doing historic, meaningful, important things, not only for herself and her own career, and making sure that, as Sharm said, I think when he was introing her, that like people know her name now, but she's also doing so much for the game, not only in Wales, but worldwide, and also for the Canadian brand, which is still a thing, right? Where we talk about it with these big transfers, whether it's John David or Olivia Smith breaking transfer records, like that is part of the Canadian calling card worldwide in the footballing landscape. And Rhian is a big part of that. And she's really just getting started. So I'm so proud of her.